You don't have to know history. You don't have to know wrestlers. You don't have to know matches. I don't have to know anything about this sport.
But you should know.
Why? Why
because
do I
you want to be here, right?
Yeah, but why do I have to know history? History's history. It's what happened. I'm here to start a new age.
In order to start a new age, you need to know the history. That way you don't repeat it.
Knowing something from the last 30, 40, 50 years of wrestling doesn't give you the skill to do a move.
You called me up 5 times today. Shut up.
Because it's your nickname.
It's not my nickname.
Don't portray yourself like that if you don't want to be seen like that.
It's called mutual respect. Have some respect.
If I was disrespecting you, you would know it.
Okay, well, whatever. I'm just sick and tired of you calling me Princess Diana. Stop.
Everybody knows that The Rock eats the best pie around, brother. What type of pie do you like, my friend?
Shut your fucking mouth! No problem, John. Shut the fuck up, you cunt! Shut it!
I think it is time for NXT to take over.
Suplex City, bitch!
What's your favorite match?
My favorite match was with Melina and Alicia Fox.
Who?
I told my father I'm gonna set up my own lucha league in America, and I'm gonna make it the best league in the world.
I'm gonna leave him in a pile of blood and urine and vomit.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. The wrestling podcast will review every segment of Raw and give you guys the wrestling news of the week. My name as the host of this amazing show, and I hope that's not too egotistical of myself to say that, but it is Turbo Tony. And I'm here with a man, my wingman, who is back this week after his week hiatus. And he is one of the many men, including myself, who would not say a single word to a certain Charles Bronson after he told us to shut the fuck up. It's Matt Marsander.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I definitely not. I'd be scared to tell him to fuck off if he told me to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he might tell you to lick his feet, which is,
At least.
Yeah, I'd be
getting away lightly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How you been doing this week, Matt?
Yeah, good. I got good. I had yesterday, and I completely caught up with NXT, and it was really weird because I was like 3.5 hours of wrestling, and I don't feel like a single minute was wasted.
So like you basically binged on NXT.
But I can't get through a 3-hour episode of Raw. Yet I can binge on 3.5 episodes of NXT.
I know. It's been a weird week considering it's been one of the only weeks that's been a fallout from you not being on the show.
I know.
Welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not under alarm this time.
No, exactly. Yeah, you're not. The at least the shop has allowed you to leave its premises.
Yeah.
Along those lines.
At the least.
I hope I held the ground well enough for you while you were gone. While you're back, Matt, it just didn't feel the same. Me giving away this particular Twitter handle. It can only really be done by one person. So go on, take it away.
Oh, I think you're referring to the handle of @TalkWrestlePod.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I believe that is the one. Yes, you can follow us there on Twitter along those lines. And as you may have heard there in the entrance or the intro to this particular episode, myself and Matt are going to be talking a lot about Tough Enough. Now, I kind of touched on this last week. Matt has watched both the episodes, so you can get his candid thoughts, and we're going to mini review. No, I'm just basically going to give our thoughts on episode 2.
We're going to rage.
Yeah. We don't look at it that favourably, so that's going to be a big portion of this show. But let's give you anyway a rundown of what's going to happen on episode 82. Episode 82, Matt.
I know.
82. We've got the wrestling news of the week, some juicy news for you there, including a little bit talking about the Beast in the East event that happened yesterday morning, or this morning as we're recording it, but you get what we're talking about. We've got our fan feedback, a few interesting questions from the Let's Talk Wrestling fans, and we've got NXT report card, as usual. Matt will be excited to put back on his professor cap after taking a week off, and we'll be reviewing this week's Raw, which, by the way, is quite a good segue into our first news of this week. Was the lowest rated Raw of the year and one of the lowest rated Raws in recent history. It was an absolute shocker for the ratings.
I think I read somewhere like the second lowest rating since '97.
That's a startling statistic, isn't it? Just now, a lot of people may be asking, why is the reason that this has happened? Was it a horrific show? And obviously, we're going to review it later on. We're going to give our thoughts into what we think about Raw. But my personal belief, and by the way, just before we get into this, Raw wasn't really competing with that much. They didn't have any. I mean, the NBA season's over. The NFL season's over. I didn't know if there was a big baseball thing going on. I'm not sure. I don't follow it. But in terms of sports, they didn't have anything to go against.
No.
And they got spanked. You know. The main reason I think, Matt, and I don't obviously get your first take on the reason why this happened. My initial thoughts are twofold. The reason why I think they've had the lowest rating of the year is, one, you don't have Brock Lesnar. That's a pretty big issue. I'm sure you have Brock Lesnar on this show, you don't get 2.51 in the ratings, right?
Yeah.
And you can't have that many mediocre shows in a row and expect not expect to have the ratings drop. I think it's a big mix of the two, and I think WWE would be unwise to just brush this aside. You know.
Yeah.
It may be an anomaly. Next week they may go back.
It's like, we seem to be struggling. Like, we lost a bunch of ratings. What are we going to do about it? Well, same as we do So this is like Pinky and the Brain. Like, same as we do every night, Vince.
We send out Cena. Yeah, that's essentially what he does.
Try to take over the show.
Yeah. What is it? Just him and Kevin Dunn, Pinky and the Brain. I'm sure there's a series that needs to be made there. I'm sure there is. I tell you what though, Matt, one of the most telling things of this is that with the show this week, when this last happened, a big story broke in regards to a really low rating, and I don't think it was as low as this, but it was a low rating, was an episode ages ago, and it was when CM Punk was the champion, Daniel Bryan was the heavyweight champion, and Zack Ryder was the US champion. We're going back quite a few years now. But it ended the show, and it was those three standing tall. It was like a six-man tag match. And John Cena wasn't on the show. And the show didn't do very well. And they blamed it at the time. They said, well, we know why it didn't do very well, because John Cena
No Cena.
Yeah. Now, this on this particular instance, they have got absolutely no excuse. Because Cena was on the show, and he had the longest match on the show. So, or at the very least had the highest quality one. You know,
he had the only good thing on the show.
Yeah, and you know what? Like I said, this particular show, like we'll get into the review of it, obviously, but I find it wasn't a particularly horrendous show. We've definitely seen worse, but you can't have this many bad shows in a row without at least suffering for it. That's my main thing.
Yeah.
What's your general thought on it, man? Why do you think this happened?
I couldn't honestly say. I think I could almost agree with you. It's almost like a backfire of just what's been before. It's just sort of like, oh, okay. Or maybe I could just miss Raw this week. And there doesn't seem to be anything going on at the moment.
Yeah. And it's a mid-monther as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that...
Like, we're what, 2 weeks from Battleground? So it's just like, nah.
Yeah. To be honest, yeah. I mean, I think that's the general fan would have that response. And we'll obviously go into the Raw review and what we think things happen there. But this, the way I think about this, Raw having this rating, Vince will most likely kind of brush it aside. Oh, it was just a one-off. These things happen every now and then. I would hope that they have a look at it and say, look, maybe the show does need to change up. Maybe if some things need to change here because some things just aren't working. And they're things that me and Matt have basically spoken about the last 6 months. Things that need to be tweaked on the show and need to be amended, but obviously haven't because it's WWE, of course.
Okay.
Eric Young, man, you didn't know about this before I told you about it before we started the podcast.
No.
So TNA had their pay-per-view. They don't have many, but they had their pay-per-view. Slammiversary happened over the course of last weekend, and Eric Young, after the match, after the show, took to Twitter and basically told fans if they didn't like the show, they can go fuck themselves. That literally is the words that he used. Yeah.
What a fool.
Basically, a lot of people basically were saying, the show wasn't as good or anything along those lines, and he didn't like that, right? And I think it's quite funny because he lashed out at the people, saying negative things about TNA, which there are a lot of them, to be honest. We're here saying that same stuff as well. He lashed out, and bearing in mind, before we actually go into what I think of this, bearing in mind, guys, that really Eric Young shouldn't be that frustrated about this, because it's a TNA pay-per-view. Matt, everybody knows how much business a TNA pay-per-view does. It's not much, right? Not many people saw Slammiversary. Let's be brutally honest.
I don't know. I didn't. You know, other than the fact that, like the news last week that Jeff Jarrett was there, I didn't even know Slammiversary was anytime soon.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, you weren't going to open up your wallet and pay for it, were you? Jesus. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are the same sort of the thought of that. But it's quite funny that he's blaming the fans, or he's saying, "Oh, go fuck yourselves," for fans thinking that way about the company. I think Eric, down the line, when the ship has finally sunk and he's on the shore, we'll figure out why it went all wrong. The fans aren't the reason why TNA have blown up. He should point the finger at the people at fault. And we've always said before, it's the management. The management has failed people like Eric Young. I even brought his name. The people that have bled for TNA. Who are those people? I think you can class Eric Young at almost being top of that list. People have put
I think that's a solid statement.
Yeah. He has, for all intents and purposes, put his body on the line for the company, and a few other people obviously have as well. Now, obviously, he retracted that tweet. He had posted an apology, but it all got, Matt, as soon as anything gets put up on Twitter, someone screen capped it. You know how it is.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, someone screen capped it, and now it's the internet's.
Yeah,
it's gone.
It belongs to them now. That's really the bottom line of it there. So yeah, this is a bit of a dumb move, and I think that some of the wrestlers don't really understand why TNA has the problems they have. And when you've got stories coming out that their production crews are being intimidated to kind of accept the pay conditions that are going there, man, that is seedy as shit. That really is. Yeah. And one of the things that you and me said 2 weeks ago when we learned that was, just take your money and go home. Once you get that money, just leave. Just leave.
So, call it.
Yeah, call it quits. Go. I believe me, that's exactly what I would do in that situation, because they don't care. And we do have a question about TNA that's positive later on, so actually quite enjoying and answering that rather than talking about TNA in such a negative light as we are. They kind of give us all these news anyway. Now, obviously, I heard that obviously we know that the Slammiversary pay-per-view, in terms of numbers, wasn't that high. We knew that going forward. It wasn't a complete bomb, nor was it an astronomical success, but still. I could go through even more lists of people that have left this week, but to be honest, I don't want to spend the entire week talking about people that have jumped ship out of TNA. So yeah, Beast in the East, Matt. That happened this morning for us. Obviously, for our more American fans, that happened in the early hours of Saturday morning. Kind of watching it during the times that we had.
That's it, yeah.
And you've watched this show as long as the same I have. How did you think of the show in general?
I'd say it was quite good. I felt like a 2-hour show. Obviously 5 matches, and 2 of them can not exist as far as I'm concerned. To be fair, 3 of them, as much as the Beast is in the East, his first match, it's Mania, it's like, it wasn't really.
It was a very quick match.
It was all really for the opening match and for the, obviously, Balor Owens match.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about Lesnar's match first of all. It was a quick match. Everyone knew it was going to be quick. It was decimated. Everything that Kofi Kingston is alive. He spared the man at very least. Yeah. Along those lines, he didn't mutilate the poor guy. It wasn't like a hate crime or anything along those lines. Although, fucking hell, some of those German suplexes did look a bit gritty. I think that's probably the word we can say.
Brutal.
Yeah. But yeah, he made his appearance. We all know the reason why Brock's there. He wanted a tax write-off trip so he can go see one of his friends that's not doing too well over in Japan. So that's basically the reason why he was there. But it was fine. So yeah, you kind of dealt with Kofi and just kind of threw him aside. But you kind of you got to remember this is just like a live show, so I wasn't expecting Lesnar to be putting on like a 10-match, 10-minute spectacular of a match in there. Along those lines.
Like the usual brutal beatdown. No, not tonight.
Yeah. He just kind of did his thing and went away. But you know what? It was still entertaining. He still stuck around after the match and just dealt with the New Day. So that's not a particularly...
with no real problems.
Yeah, just dealt with him. So yeah, as you say, the two main matches that we can speak about really, we'll go from the first one. Obviously, is the Chris Jericho and Neville match, and this is Chris Jericho is a big part of this tour going forward. He's doing a lot of live dates. He doesn't want to do a TV run, but he's doing lots of live dates. To basically build up his name and also keeping good standing with the company and make some money, of course. So yeah, and obviously he's doing the tough enough stuff like this. How did you find this match? I thought it was a pretty decent opener for what it is. More of a high quality match than what you would maybe expect off a live event. I mean, I think that's a fair enough assumption to kind of give it. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a live event. I know it's
just a live event, but I think they got more time and we got more out of that than we would have if they had that match on Raw.
Yeah. To be honest, yeah, they got a lot of time here on this particular match, and I'm not going to treat it as if I'm not going to talk about all the how things happen in regards to Neville winning the match as opposed to as Jericho, because Jericho did get the win in this match. I would be a little bit more worried if that stuff was kind of happening on Raw. I know some people might say that's a bit of a double standard, considering how pivotal the other match on the show was, but no, I don't think about it as much. I think it was fine, and the crowd loved Jericho, obviously throughout his roots, in that country, throughout the many, many years that he did work there. So.
Like, my main gripe with I loved the match. I thought the match was great. My key gripe with it was just sort of like, he won with what Michael Cole was referring to as the Lion Tamer. It was like, no.
Yeah.
That's the proper Walls of Jericho.
Yeah, that's
not the Boston Crab rip-off.
Yeah, he's done the Boston Crab version for so long. I think people have forgotten what the Walls of Jericho, when it's proper synced in, actually looks like, and it's dirty.
Yeah,
like.
And he's stuck in the Lion Tamer. Shut up.
So that leads in well to the Balor and Owens event that the match happened. This match, man, it felt awesome from the very beginning of this match. When
I think you decided to just skip the Divas match, haven't you?
I don't really care about the Divas match, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, to be honest. But basically, it's a tradition over in Japan when it's a big match, a big championship match, you throw streamers into the ring, and it felt so surreal when that moment happened, because it's just something so unlike WWE.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like you must be in Japan, because all of a sudden just like sea of colours.
Yeah. It's and it was a cool feeling as well, because the referee was clearing it all out, and it felt like a big moment. They were handed flowers before the match, which Owens, as the great
through,
literally, he was like a quarterback for an NFL team. He fucking spiraled that thing right down the entranceway. This match was fantastic, as you would expect from Balor and Owens. And Balor, by the way, his ink that he's got on is fantastic. It's obviously very Japanese inspired, as you would imagine, going on there. And I'm not
even gonna... Japanese deep.
Yeah. He's got like the symbols and everything along those lines as well. So it's great stuff. It's really good stuff there. One of the things I'll say about this particular match, no, I don't think it's as good as the Cena ones. I will say that. But it's like pretty much, it's very fucking close. That's the only thing I'll say.
Yeah.
It's kind of picking between, two fantastic steaks. One might just be a little bit nicer, but you'd still eat the other one. It's still fantastic, just as good,
See, the thing is, I watched Beast in the East with my fiance, and I think that was probably the first time she'd ever seen, I know at least Owens, but I think both Owens and Balor, I think that's the first time she'd ever seen the pair of them, actually in a match.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of like, yeah, like this is it.
Yeah,
we're gonna watch some proper wrestling.
You've been literally like building up NXT for so long that it's like, yeah, NXT, and then you'll hear it's like, yeah, NXT. Like, that's kind of like, it's kind of like, yeah,
NXT bitches.
Yeah, take that. Yeah. I like I said, I really agree. I thought that this match was a great showcase of what that can give to you, and it was put in the great, you know, in a great position. You had Hideo Itami as well on ringside, looking like, man, the shit was slapped out of him. He looked pissed off, didn't he? He was just like, oh, I'd rather be in there right now, sort of thing. He did, you know, he didn't look that happy to see Balor with that belt. Would you say?
I meant to be number one contender.
Yeah, I was.
Oh.
Yeah. Like I said, like we've said here before, I firmly believe if he wasn't injured, then it would be Itami with that belt at the moment. But
yeah,
you know, shit happens. You know, people get injured. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. But I mean, especially I think it would have been more because obviously, like, it's not like this Japan tour sort of like, yeah, should we say 2 weeks Saturday? Like, it's been in the pipeline for a long time. So I reckon that, yeah, probably if we can't have Itami return back to Japan to win a belt, well, who's the next, like, quote unquote Japanese guy?
Your prodigal son
that we have on the roster.
Call him, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, for one thing, that video package obviously showed, and obviously we obviously knew beforehand, you know, a massive, you know, the majority of his career has been spent in Japan. So, go back over and obviously winning the NXT Championship over there, it means just as much to him as I mentioned.
Well. Like, they actually aired it before the Beast in the East on the network. On the schedule.
Yeah,
I'd now seen it all, having caught up on NXT, but I was like, that was some awesome video packages.
Yeah, that was back, you know, piled back to back on each other. Yeah, that was, and you know what was funny in that is that it was like half an hour fully done, and I thought that all you'd have to do onto that is add another half an hour onto it, and that's literally one of their DVDs that they could sell off. You know, one of the things that they do. You can add in loads of his other matches and stuff like that. It's that
exactly. All they'd have to do is just like throw in a couple of interviews with, like, maybe a few more with Matt Bloom, Albert, maybe a couple more with Kenta Itami, and like just a couple more, just sort of like, oh, what it was like when he was in Japan, rather than he was in Japan a really long time and won lots of gold.
Yeah,
he got famous. Now he's in WWE. Like, if you could just, exactly, you could elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And there you go, that's a 1 hour special.
Yeah, literally, yeah, and you can start off with, like I said, like, it's that high quality that they did it, and it's enthralling. It does its job, and yeah, I think it was completely fine. And should Balor be the champion? Absolutely, because he is the I think the most high profile guy on NXT now. Especially when you've got Zayn and Itami injured, and Owens is going. He's going to the main roster. He's gone now. I don't see him going back to NXT at all. So, you know, whether or not we think he's going to win the US Championship, that's a different matter.
Yes.
But yeah, obviously we'll see when it comes up to that particular point whether or not that comes to fruition. But
whether he'll do it, yes.
Yeah.
But no, I completely agree, because then it kind of sort of leaves, especially on the main title front, it's a bit thin, because, Zayn and Itami are both looking to be out another 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, that's a long time.
So, who we got? Breeze?
Yeah, you probably are going to get a Breeze rivalry, I'd say, for the belt.
That's fine.
Or Rhino,
fine with that.
But you mean he's beaten Rhino twice.
Rhino, Joe.
Yeah, I can see it.
I'd be quite happy to see Breeze and Balor 1-on-1 again.
Yeah, no, both of them might be fine. Maybe that ties him over for a little while. And one of the good things about NXT, you don't have to have him constantly locked in title rivalries for an elongated amount of time. It does give a time for the likes of Itami and Zayn to come back, and then it fills it out a little bit more. Then he's got more people to go with. But a fantastic match there for Balor. He wins the title, well deserving. And this obviously is the final chapter, final and very quick chapter of Owens' career in NXT. It lasted all around.
Actually, something on Facebook afterwards, somebody had posted it up as like a GIF. It's like, oh my god, it's Balor the next Undertaker? Why? Because he doesn't dive over the ropes? Shut up.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's like, that's not an Undertaker patented thing.
That's it. He does that once a year. Like, it's not like his regular arsenal.
It's like it was like the Usos did it every single match, you know. Oh wow,
Yeah.
are they the new yeah,
The
no,
double takers.
Oh god. Yeah, there was another match after this particular match though, which I actually didn't watch. As soon as this ended, I turned it off. It was the
Yeah, I didn't. Barrett came to the ring, and I was like, "Oh, hang on a second. Maybe not."
yeah. I was very shocked. I mean, come on, you got Brock Lesnar. The show is called Beast in the East. It is a Brock Lesnar show.
And he's not the main event.
Yeah, he was the third match from the end. So that was
That's
like,
it.
whoa.
You've got the prodigal son of Japan coming back to win a title.
Yeah.
Main event? No.
No. Yeah, it was very odd. And to be honest, I imagine I wasn't the only person that turned it off from there. I have no desire to see King, Barrett, and Kane versus Ziggler and Cena. I can see that on Raw, and I could be bored by it there. I don't need to watch it on this special. To be honest, once Balor and Owens was done, I was done. There was no reason for me to...
End of.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's Beast in the East. Should you go watch it? Yes, but obviously stop before you get to that Cena match, because there's not really any point.
Yeah. Yes, not a fan.
Okay, so that moves us on to Tough Enough. So now,
Yay!
Yeah, you excited for Tough Enough?
Yay! Tough Enough.
Now, guys, I'm just going to precursor this particular show. Tough Enough this season is fucking awful, right? And all the problems and all the issues that I had with the first episode that I went through last week was shown even further this week. Jesus Christ.
Like, I feel really bad for you, because I was just like, when you were going on about it, you're saying like how it was so bad, and I was like, you know what? I can't find it on any of my usual things. I'm not really going to go out of my way. Sorry, dude, you're on your own.
You're on your own. And I convinced you to do it.
Yeah.
I brought you in.
And I hate you for that.
You absolutely despise.
I now understand and share your rage.
Guys, we're going to go back over Tough Enough again. We're going to explain in extremely vivid detail why the hell wrestling fans should not watch this show. Because, to be honest, the issue with this show, and the fact that it's not doing that great in the ratings either, it's been a bad week for ratings for WWE, Jesus.
Yeah.
They're not doing too well.
So all of a sudden, wrestling's not cool.
Yeah, exactly, or just randomly, yeah. So... basically, the issue with this is that this is a wrestling talent show, right? That its target demographic is non-wrestling fans. And you may think, wow, that's pretty fucking stupid. Well, guys, you'd be pretty fucking correct. I'll tell you that much. It is an awful idea to try and get the mainstream into this show, and it's proving that it's tanking, right? The ratings to this show, Matt, oh god. Let me put this in perspective, right? Austin's Tough Enough, which, by the way, after watching this season, I miss so badly, by the way. Yeah. Austin's Tough Enough was like a hidden gem if you look at it in comparison to this one. Jesus Christ. The lowest episode on Austin's Tough Enough, which, by the way, reminding everyone, was on the same channel. Right? So there's no excuses, right? It's on the same network. You can't say, well, back then it was put on a different channel. No, it's the same channel, so there's no excuses here. They should be getting at very least what Austin got in his Tough Enough, right?
You'd like to think so.
I mean, they've got Hulk Hogan there. Hulk Hogan's just a bigger name as Austin, right? Right? In terms of pulling power, okay? And plus, you've got Jericho, you've got some new stars like Daniel Bryan, right, to, pull in the fans.
Paige. Everyone loves Paige.
Paige, yeah, exactly. So the lowest rating that they had, the lowest amount of viewers that they had was 1.5 million viewers, right? I think the most they got was about 1.9, close to 2, which isn't too bad, right? It's not astronomically great, but it isn't too bad, right? This season of Tough Enough, the season premiere, this is the episode, by the way, that should have the most viewers, because as anyone who's watched TV over an exorbitant amount of time, that once you have your premiere, that's your peak, and then you lose things, and then eventually, once you come up to your finale, you might gain some of those viewers back. But it's almost like Raw, right? Your mid-monthers are like your mid-season, right? But you will suffer. You will lose viewers as you go along. Unless you're something like Game of Thrones, in which case you'll gain them through the fucking one.
Yeah, you will go forever.
Yeah, you literally just just constantly be getting more viewers because you're Game of fucking Thrones. That's how it works. The season premiere, the numbers for the season premiere of this season of Tough Enough was 1.2 million viewers. That's 300,000 less than Austin's Tough Enough had on its worst week. So, Matt, how did you think this week's edition did?
Yay.
Do you think maybe they broke all the records and got higher than Austin? Did they get 2 million? No, of course not. They lost.
Let's get less again, shall we?
Yeah. Exactly. They lost almost 200,000 viewers in 1 week. Now, that's bad, right? They will lose more next week because this show was a fucking abysmal. It was sloppy again for the second week. Oh man, let's go through the issues of this particular show. Now, Matt, you've obviously gone through 2, so you know this more than anyone. You binged Tough Enough this week, which I apologise for making you go through. There were some parts in this show. Bear in mind that, guys, all the things I said last week, that this particular show is not a wrestling show. It's not yet a wrestling show. They took their first bump this week, in week 2. You think bumps would be the first thing that they would be doing? No. They have done 3 things. 3 things first. They're taking the bump. They did that challenge in that arena, right? In that stadium.
There's essentially they ran, they swam, they bumped.
Yeah, they ran, they swam, and they did a few body slams on that thing, and then did that drill of running across.
Oh yeah.
Right, Matt, you will know, as I know. Anyone that's got into the ring knows. Once you take that first back bump, you realise pretty fucking quickly if wrestling's for you or not. Right? You realise pretty often, your body will tell you right then, oh wow, I like that, or just get the fuck out of this ring. I do not want any part of that again.
No thanks. Do you know what? I'm done.
Yeah. So you think that maybe taking bumps would be the first thing on their order. And taking plenty of bumps. When me and Matt were training to become wrestlers, we had to take 10 clothesline bumps in a fucking row. And that was no joke, but it made you learn how to bump properly, right?
And feed back up quick. Yeah.
And get back up quick, right? Which you're required to do, especially in that sort of spot, right? These guys, for as far as we know now, obviously this is only as far as we know, from what we were looked at on the screen, they took 1 regular bump, they took 1 top rope bump, bearing in mind there was this kind of metal grating around the turnbuckle to put them down more.
No, that's not what pissed me off the most.
Yeah, I know, I'm getting to that, I'm getting there. I'm going to let you take control of this, right? And they go to do a top rope bump in a padded ring with padded helmets. Now, I know why they do the padded helmets, right? Because, they definitely don't want the concussion issue going along, right? But as far as we know, and as far as we've seen, those were the only bumps that they have taken so far.
Yeah.
You can
kind of struggles a bit.
Yeah, you can understand why that's an issue right there, right? Because they spent far more time on these shows showcasing them arguing with each other, and some of them are the most brain-dead arguments I've fucking heard. One of them said along the lines of, I don't need to know what's happened in the past. I don't need to know. I don't need to have knowledge. I can be an idiot. He essentially said that. Yeah. I can be a moron and win the show.
Whatever happened in the past, I don't need to know about that.
Now,
what?
Yeah, it's like, you fucking idiot. I can guarantee you someone told him to say that. Either that, or he's retarded. You should have known you'd get eliminated for saying something like that. Who do you have on the fucking panel? You've got Hulk Hogan, who, by the way, wants everyone to remember who he is. It's Hulk fucking Hogan. You've got Daniel Bryan, which, God bless him, his career is essentially done. So he's going to want people to remember what he's done in the ring. You go, nope, don't need to remember all these fuckers. I can do whatever I like. Of course.
That lot? Fuck that lot.
Yeah. Moron. And I guarantee you that was not real, right? There were so many moments in this where there were moments where they were just arguing for the sake of arguing. And you could tell it was so forced. This is like the worst reality. This is reality trash TV. And at the majority of the time, it's got absolutely nothing to do with pro wrestling. Right?
It's got nothing. It's just struggling along with it.
Yeah, it's like I said, if they didn't take that 1 bump this week and they left it go on another week, It's like, what's the point in doing this if you're not going to at least let them wrestle? Aren't they supposed to become professional wrestlers? And they keep arguing about, you don't have what it takes to become a pro wrestler. Well, apparently all you need to become is for a pro wrestler in the first 2 weeks of this show, you need to be able to run and you need to be able to swim. Fuck being able to do anything, I don't know, that the new NXT champion can do. You know, fucking top rope foot stomps and, you know, taking fucking massive bumps from Kevin Owens. That obviously has nothing to do with wrestling, Matt. You know that, of course. Has nothing to do with wrestling, apparently.
No. I suppose the worst part is, especially considering it's like, oh, you're going to take a top rope bump. Like, okay, yeah, a superplex and things like that. But it's just like, you looked at some of them and it's like, they are not going to be top rope wrestlers.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, some of their drills that they do, man, you try and get someone like some of their current roster to do some of that stuff, they would not be able to do it. And yet they're barking out as, oh, that's an insult that you can't do this. Well, you get up there and you fucking do it. You wouldn't be able to do it, right? I found that a lot sometimes in the season of Austin season, in some aspects of that, you know. Let's talk about Austin season, though. By week 2, you could tell at that point who was not going to win that show. You know, because of their wrestling acumen. You could see some of them. I remember one of them, Michelle, if you remember, said she had 14 years or something like of wrestling experience.
And couldn't run the ropes.
She couldn't run the ropes. She didn't even know what the basic chain grappling was, right?
Yeah.
So you knew pretty quickly then, she's bullshitting everyone, right? She doesn't know shit. Or she knew shit and she forgot it. Most likely she didn't ever know it, right?
Yeah.
And
all blag.
But, man, I said this to you, Matt. If she was on... Man, she should have waited until this season. If she was on this season, she could have got to the end and no one would have known that she didn't know anything.
That's it. Like, they're just holding their hands the whole way through.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, people, we're going to learn to be wrestlers.
It is quite insulting, I have to say. Like, I tell you what's even worse, Matt. Man, fucking hell, this particular fucking show. I tell you what's worse. When they go to the live show, now first of all, the live show, to the audience that's there, this must be the most boring-ass live show in television, right? All they do is sit, watch a couple of vignettes, which we get to watch, of them, you know, of what's going on. Then they watch some very idiotic questions being asked by the panel, which are, by the way, a very good panel of judges, which seemingly have forgotten to ask wrestling-based questions, you know, to these contestants.
What pie do you like, brother?
Oh, don't get
What? What? How is that? This is suddenly you just got ZZ, just like, I like apple.
Did you want to like fucking name drop The Rock? Is that the only reason why you wanted to bring that up?
Yeah.
And it is. Look, for instance, right, let's talk about the Paige thing, man. Paige was really bitchy in this episode. But one of the things they said, one of the challenges that they had to do, which, by the way, is supposed to tell us which of these particular men and women are going to be, you know, WWE worthy, right?
Whether they're brave enough.
Yeah, right? Is that they need to swim over a swamp, and they're trying to sell that it's infested with alligators, bearing in mind that absolutely no TV program would ever get away with fucking letting people swim in a fucking alligator infested swamp. Yeah. Let's just be honest, right? If that actually happened, which it didn't, I know, I'm just trying to explain it. If that actually happened, WWE would be sued and they would lose a fuck ton of money, right? Because it's safety issues, right? So bearing in mind that, but they're trying to sell you, oh wow, it's so dangerous. But they're swimming over this swamp and they've got to grab an NXT championship and bring it back, right? You may be thinking, wow, this is a bit wacky. This is a little bit out there, but fair enough, I can buy it as like an extra challenge. Even Austin, I mean, they had them going up against like in a basketball match against like the little people team of the world, who were fantastic, of course. Right? So they had their wacky challenges as well. So okay, we'll buy this. Daria, right? Who, funny enough, seems to get talked about on this show quite a lot, considering, you know, a lot of the questions and everything that get barked to her are quite idiotic.
Yeah.
So she dropped the title in the bottom of the ocean. Yeah? Fair enough, she loses the challenge. And, you know, it's not exactly great. Doesn't look good on her. I'll accept that. The words that are dropped, man, the look on Hogan's face when that comes up was almost as if you had slapped his mother with a fucking wet carcass, right? It's almost as if you farted in his wife's face. Well, if he, I think it's probably he divorced his wife, but farted in his daughter's face. He had the look of utter disgust, saying along the lines of, "That's an insult. How are you going to be able to take a real championship across the country as champion?" Sorry, guys.
Yes, because I'm expected to swim across. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, also, you're saying that, oh wow, taking a championship, putting it in your car, driving to your next event. Man, that's next level shit. If you can't...
Oh, shit. It's in my bag, and I need to remember my bag?
Yeah.
Jesus, that's got other things in it.
Oh my goodness, man. That's so fucking hard. How are they supposed to do it? If they can't get across a fucking swamp, swimming across a fucking belt that probably weighs a bit, and drop it on the belt, man, if they do that, how are they supposed to... It was one of the most idiotic things I've ever heard. As if Paige, as Divas champion, has ever had to swim through a swamp with the belt and stand.
And they've all been champion. Have any of them had to carry it through a swamp? Yeah. No.
It's just the way they have it. It's like, oh wow, if you can't handle this, then you can't handle being. Really? You're going to go with that with your particular set? I thought it was one of the most idiotic things I've ever heard in my life. It really is. And oh man, Paige was super bitchy here. She got really annoyed with two of the girls, telling them, "Oh, get off my stage if you're not going to show me any personality." Well, maybe they're waiting until the fucking wrestling happens, right? Maybe they're thinking it's a wrestling show, so therefore they can showcase their wrestling
forgive
ability.
me. I'm just wondering when we can actually start taking bumps. So I can show you, hey, I've done this shit before. I know what I need to do.
Maybe they're refusing, Matt, to be dumb fucking bitches and start arguing with people for no fucking reason, for ratings.
I'm sorry, am I not going to spend 10 minutes on... Am I not going to get my 10 minutes of TV time because I'm not bitching about missing my fiancé?
Yeah, right? Tell me, these two fucking girls, right, if they had gone on and started crying about, "Oh my god, it's so hard being back home," then they would not have had that happen to him. Sure, they might have said to him, "I don't know if you're ready for this," or anything along those lines. But you wouldn't have Paige saying, "You need to show me some personality, get the fuck off my stage." She didn't, go along those lines. But basically, she did. Then it's like, what the fuck do you want? Do you want them just to be starting, randomly arguing with each other for no reason? Maybe they've been waiting until they actually learn how to wrestle.
Yes, I demand scraps.
Yeah.
I demand a squabble.
Oh, by the way, also, Matt, I don't know if you noticed this. The production of the show is fucking awful.
I did notice this.
There was a moment here, which happened last week. It happened again, where Chris Jericho butted in a particular thing, and he said along the lines of, "Well, you've had as much time as everyone else in the show." But the problem is, okay, he could make those statements, and what they happen in X Factor, when they do this, you've got Dermot O'Leary or something like the English guy who does the X Factor over here. When he goes and does it, he's standing next to him, so he can kind of cut off the judges and the camera can pan on him. So it's very instantaneous, He's like, well, maybe they could try better next week, but next week we'll go, and then literally it's like that, very quick.
Just flow. Yeah.
Because Jericho is somewhere else on the stage, or somewhere else entirely, when he says it, it's got a really bad sort of look where all the contestants are looking up at him, and all the talent, all the judges look up at him like, what happened there? And it looks like everyone's confused for a second.
It's like, why are you talking? Are you meant to be talking?
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, here we go.
And man, Chris Jericho can he can lie through his teeth and tell us that it's a fucking success. Tough Enough is going fantastic. Mate, stop lying. Your ratings are in the fucking doghouse. Let's just be honest. Yeah. You are nowhere near doing as good as the worst episode of Austin's Tough Enough. And that should be pretty fucking, telling at this point. Yeah? I guarantee less than 1 million viewers next week. Guarantee it. Absolutely. Maybe even 900,000. Which would be horrendous for them, by the way. When you're drawing lower, man, I hate if they manage to get to a point where they're drawing lesser viewers than TNA. They won't get that.
Well, to be fair, they can. It's the different products altogether, really.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Matt, I don't know if you know this, right? Just added insult to injury. USA, because to try and remedy this, right, and the ratings being so bad, they're replaying a 2-hour version of Raw before Tough Enough. Right?
What?
To try and get people watching that, and then they can watch Tough Enough afterwards. The episode of Raw, the rerun that they showed, didn't even make the US Out of all the channels and channels at a particular time slot obviously on that day, it didn't make the top 100. So,
What? Why?
Yeah. This is what happens, guys, when you make a wrestling talent show where your target demographic is non-wrestling fans. This is what you get. And anyone who came up with the idea of, we need to make a reality-based wrestling show where there's no wrestling and lots of people fucking arguing for no reason, then I laugh at you, because there you go. You know, when they're asking questions instead of, how did you feel that bump? Do you think you can take these bumps? And do you think you'll be able to give suplexes on a regular basis? Do you think you're strong enough for this business? They're asking, like, what pie do you like? How do you think of the sleeping arrangements? I don't give a shit.
Hey, guys, do you like your bed?
Yeah. I could not give a flying fuck where they all sleep. I want to see how they wrestle. Funny enough, because it's a wrestling-based talent show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna...
Oh no, excuse me for having such demands.
Yeah. Now, obviously, the guy who said, I don't need to know anything about wrestling, obviously got voted off. That's just, you know, the way it is. Because the same thing with Hank. You say that you make a flippant comment about how women are nothing, you're going to get roasted. That's the bottom line of it, right? There's only one or two guys I like on this entire show. One of them's ZZ, because I know that they've got him on the show to
ZZ's the character, though.
Yeah, right, and he's the most genuine guy there. And Patrick. Funny enough, it's the two youngest guys there that I actually like. The rest of them...
Although they are playing out Patrick to be a creep.
Yeah, right, they had this scene where he was like, oh, why don't you two kiss and make up? With these two girls that are
that's how you get along and make peace.
He may as well had his tongue hanging out and his hands on his dick. He may as well.
Do it.
Yeah, I'm getting hot and bothered talking about Tough Enough. This show fucking sucks, guys. I don't say that much often. Even when I talk about Raw, I'm like, the show wasn't that great this week. They need to amend these things. But here, it's their mind track. It's the way they think of the show. The way that they're trying to present it to us. It's fucking awful. And they can't nail down what they want to do. They want to make this into an X Factor. They want to make this into The Voice. Well, guys, if you're trying to make it into that... Right.
That's it. They want it's America's Got Talent and the... Huh?
You know, like... You know, what I was saying to you, talking about this throughout the week, right? That, at very least on those shows, you hear the performers sing, right?
Yeah.
So you can hear them and you can evaluate them on a performance type basis. Here, on this show, it's not as if you can watch them wrestle or take bumps, which I agree you can't really do, but with the format they're doing it, it's like, why should there be people paying to actually be there live? What are you getting?
It's the one thing I don't get is just sort of, vote for the one that you want to stay. It's like, well, I don't really care. Because I hold no opinion on any of these people.
Yeah.
Why? Because they haven't done any... Like, I guess I won't vote for him because he was a dick. Like, obviously, what was his name? Alex?
Yeah, that's the guy who got eliminated this week.
Yeah, he was a sure, kick anyway. Because it's because he was a fucking moron.
But like I said, the minute he came out with that...
you don't need to know, you don't need to know the history of this business. Yeah, you kind of do.
Yeah.
Kind of helps. Otherwise, you'll just become... he would essentially become sort of like the big bald Eva Marie.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't even think Eva Marie thinks that, personally. I think Eva Marie was put in... I mean, we can talk a little bit about Eva Marie. I think it's going off on a tangent. But I firmly believe Eva Marie, the issue with her is that WWE put her in a position that she obviously wasn't ready for, you know? And, you know, her thinking that it would be okay, didn't know enough about it. I don't think it was like, I don't need to know. It was ignorance rather than stupidity, you know? Oh man, this particular show, me and Matt have been raging about this back and forth throughout the week of how awful this show is. It's a fucking train wreck. It really is. It's the only wrestling-based talent show that features no wrestling. There's no wrestling.
I mean, hell, even TNA's Boot Camp had wrestling on it.
Yeah, right. And it's like, one of the things I said which was like a flippant comment I said a couple of weeks back with the bringing back up of Tough Enough was, okay, I would actually like it if you do have a collection of 15 people, 13 people, how many people they want, who have never taken any bumps, right? And then you teach them how to wrestle, see who takes to it the best.
Yeah.
Yeah? I like that idea, but you actually have to, make them do stuff in the ring to actually see.
Kind of helps that way. Rather than, hey guys, like, you're going to do a random standing bump, and that's what that's what people are going to see at home. And you are going to fall in what looks like a ring, but once you hit that mat, it clearly looks like a cushion.
It is padded. It's a padded ring.
Well, no, the one they took. I think the one they took the back bump in was a legit.
The standing bump was a legit one, yeah. The top profile. I don't have an issue with them doing that. It's the frequency of how much they've done with it, right? They should have been doing that fucking day one. They should have been taking those bumps, not halfway through week 2. It's ridiculous.
Like, we're going to take you out on a run as a warm up, and then I'm going to drill your ass.
We need to move on, Matt. We need to move on before we end up raging about Tough Enough. Okay, so now we're going to the fan feedback. Sorry that rant on Tough Enough lasted about 25 minutes. I apologise.
Yeah. It's like we're so far in, we haven't even done anything.
But we will take time answering your questions as usual. Let's get right back into it. So, We Are ODST asks if we think that the WWE should change the design of any of the current championship title belts. He believes that the tag team titles need a new look. Now, first off, I fully agree on the tag titles. I never really liked the design of it.
I don't. I've never liked them since they came out, really.
They're a bit colourless. That's my issue.
Yeah, and I don't get the I don't get sort of like the Roman Centurion helmet sort of style.
I don't mind.
I just don't get anything about it. It's just I look at the belts and I'm just like, eh.
And it's just the colour of it as well. I don't like that. The
fact that it's bronze.
It needs a new look. It's not a great title design. Any of the other ones were though. I mean, the only one that can come up to mind I can think is probably the Divas Championship. But that's only because I just hate the idea of the Divas. I'd just much rather go back to having a women's championship. But I mean, that ship has sailed. I've accepted it. I don't have to like it, but I've accepted it. But having the butterfly there and stuff like that, just make it into a championship belt. They're not butterflies. They're fighting women. That's how I'd like to see them portrayed. But if there's anything we talked about our distaste for is how women are sort of treated on this on the main show. So, is there any other champion? I think the WWE World Championship is fine. I think that's actually I'm actually one of the people that likes that design. But,
see, I like it. I like the fact that rather than having the nameplate, I like that that they changed the plates on the outsides.
Yes, yeah, I do.
Which gives it like a lot more of a sort of personal flair to it.
And they used to do that sometimes for the belt before, but it wasn't nearly as visible,
Yeah.
Like John Cena's belt, they used to swap out the "You Can't See Me" and put maybe something else on there sometimes, or they put like a Raw and SmackDown stuff on there when they had the brand change and stuff like that. But I think I completely agree with the tag titles. That's the first on my list that needs to be changed. I think the best looking belt, arguably enough, is probably the NXT Championship. I like the look of that belt.
I love the NXT belt.
Yeah. And I love the NXT tag title belts. I think they're a really good idea. And honestly, I think the WWE Championship should probably maybe take a page out of their book where they have the alternating colour schemes on them.
Yeah.
I quite like that idea. Kind of the yin and yang, which is pretty much what a tag team should be, right? The two forms coming together to make a stronger whole. That's kind of what tag teams are, isn't it? So, yeah, I agree with you there. Kane St. Dennis congratulates us on 300 subscribers. Thank you, man. But thank you, obviously, on all our other fans for making up those 300 subscribers. We're actually beyond that now. Me and Matt said ages ago, oh, wow, we hope we get 400 by the end of the year. Well, we cleared 300 and it seems to spark a mini boom. Now we're up to way past that. He asks us, who do we think should replace the Authority as the authority figure on Raw? Now, whoever it is, whoever gets replaced, whoever takes their place as like the GM or the commissioner or any of these power roles that obviously WWE just loves to have, right? Whoever takes over, I don't want them featured nearly as much as the current Authority is.
Bring back Foley.
I mean, I'd love Foley. Yeah, Foley is commissioner. That's just because we like Foley, though. Foley is God, after all.
That's it.
That's the way we know. Yeah, like I said, anyone that's put in there just needs to be featured a lot less. In fact, talking of wrestlers that we like, I like the way Regal does his stuff on NXT. He's not on the show all the time. He's there when he needs to be.
Yeah, like he's been on the past couple, but then you know that you're not going to see him for about a month.
Unless you need to, unless it makes sense.
Unless he has to step in.
Yes. Or a match needs to be made. He's the one to announce the matches, or he's the one to break up people, or to make sure the right things happen. I like the way that
or to make sure your heavy set guys don't smash a vending machine with a chair.
Yeah, along those lines. The way I would say is that the way that Regal does his role in NXT is more like he's the sheriff of the town rather than like the GM. He's there to make sure that the place doesn't keel over. You know.
Yeah, that's quite a good way to put it.
Yeah, so I quite like that particular idea. However, I think that the show is quite devoid of a phenomenal promo presence, and who could fill that role? Paul Heyman could fill that role. No. Like, there's a reason why he doesn't like GM anymore. Yeah, I know. There's a reason.
Not that we won't care.
yeah. I mean, that's my second note on that. Is that why I would like Heyman? WWE are not going to give him that role because the working relationship between Heyman and Vince. It's all right now, but man, if you put them in close proximity to each other, you're going to have the ECW.
You're going to have to spend 6 hours in the same car with each other.
Yeah.
Oh no. Well, I hope it's a big car and we can sit at both ends of it.
Yes. If anyone knows specifically the infamous blow-up between Heyman and Vince in regards to Heyman saying you desecrated my legacy making the new ECW, and Vince was frustrated because the ECW wasn't working, but he was blaming Heyman, and Heyman was like, you're creatively stifling my vision, and basically they just...
Why isn't your ECW working? Because it's no longer my ECW.
Yeah, essentially, and that's why they were raging each other, so... Heyman, I think also we have had the question, should Heyman take over? And we said that's completely fine, we would be okay with that. Lana is another one that could possibly fill that role. That's with another question we got, because you want to maximise the amount she's used, and she could, I'm not exactly say she's going to be the sheriff of the town, but she can kind of perform sort of the same duties. She can,
I think the only problem is to lose the authority, to try and have someone to replace the authority. I think you'd be back. Either they'd be the same thing, like they'd go off and like, oh, we're like the new authority, and it'll end up being the same thing. Or you're going to have to go back to brands, because you'll essentially need 2 GMs.
No, what I understand, I would say that we've had a heel authority figure in the company for far too long. Now, I would not have a problem.
Oh, totally agree. But I think it's just sort of like, to have one person or a couple of people, whatever, running the entirety of TV.
Yeah. I mean, if Vince...
I use it, loosely, but...
Yeah, I mean, if tell you what, if Vince wants the reins to go back up, just slot himself in that role. Make him the authority figure again. I tell you what, it would make, having him as the authority figure a little bit more easier to swallow.
Yeah, like, do you remember when he came back and he was just sort of like, wasn't it when Cena was trying to get rid of the authority?
Yeah, it was there before Survivor Series. That match, yeah.
I loved that.
But now he's not around nearly as much, Well, obviously he's around, but he just doesn't want to put himself in that role. The authority needs to go. We've said
the world needs more Vinnie Mac.
Yeah, just a little bit. So yeah, there's my 3 picks anyway. Heyman, Lana, Vinnie Mac. I think they're all fine. Whoever it is needs to be face for a very least 6 months. I'm done with the heel authority figure. Don't want it to carry on anymore. That's what I'll go with it. Adamos DeMarcos says he went and watched Lucha Underground for the first time. He found it edgy, fast-paced, and straight to the point. Lucha is amazing, I will grant you that, my friend. It is exactly all those things. His question is, do we think, with more exposure, Lucha Underground could become a true rival to WWE? For instance, like if Sky were to pick them up. Now, to answer the Sky thing, Sky won't pick Lucha Underground up, and it goes down to the fact that WWE still perceives themselves as sports entertainment. Lucha Underground casts themselves fully as entertainment.
As a TV show.
As a TV show. So, because of that fact and all these storylines that go on, and because it's not, come on guys, it's not PG. People get killed on that show, right? People have died, right, in storyline on that show. So, and you know, for instance, the Grave Consequences match is a pretty good indicator to show you what kind of demographic Lucha Underground.
I think Sky might pick. Well, I say like they might pick it up. I don't think they would, but I mean, it's not like we could have it on Sky Sports. If they were going to put it down to as purely just TV entertainment, like you'll get it on, like for our end, like Sky One or Sky Atlantic.
I tell you what, though, one particular channel that should pick it up is someone like an ITV and put it on one of their ITV2 or ITV3 channels, and be able to pick it up on there. Yeah, I firmly believe it would be good on there along those lines. But here's the thing, right? Regardless, even if they do get, let's say Sky picks him up tomorrow, right? Sky Sports 1 on Wednesday nights, Lucha Underground will air on the prime slot, right? Which is not going to happen, by the way. Won't happen. But let's say it does. Will they become a true rival to WWE? The answer is quite complicated. More complicated than if you were to ask the same question of, let's say, ROH, right? Ring of Honor. Because of the way Lucha Underground goes against existing conventions of what a wrestling show should be. The
fact that it's not a constant running thing, it's seasonal, is a big thing for it.
Yeah, that's one thing. One of the things I will say as well is that Lucha Underground is not gunning for the fans that WWE are. WWE are trying to get the global audience. Lucha Underground are trying to get the niche audience, which is wrestling fans, right? That's what they're trying to get, right? So, with that in mind, if Lucha Underground was suddenly supposed to become a rival to, you know, WWE, and they've got a network looming over them telling them, you better fucking deliver the goods, suddenly you may see them not being as edgy as they can be, not pushing the boundaries as much, being a bit more conservative. Maybe
I still need to see their Iron Man match.
Yeah, that one, yeah. The was it the Up All Night match or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But the thing is that the minute that they go towards a slightly different demographic, it's almost like ECW. They almost get a little bit too big for their own boots, and they won't be able to support themselves. With more exposure, I could actually see Lucha Underground collapsing within itself, which is quite strange, you know, to think about it along those lines. But Paul Heyman will be the first to tell you, ECW got big, and unfortunately, it got a little bit too big for how Paul Heyman could do the books and run things. I think Lucha Underground won't ever be a rival to WWE because of the way it portrays itself. But the answer really that I think is the most telling one, it doesn't need to be.
Yeah. I think the biggest question is, like, rather than, like, could it compete against WWE? No. But could it compete against Ring of Honor? Yes.
Yeah. You know, along those lines. Yeah, because it's basically, you've got WWE, and then you've got the alternative. What do the wrestling fans want to go to? And you've got a list. You've got TNA, ROH, you've got Global Wrestling,
New Japan.
New Japan, and then you've got Lucha. Right? So those guys are kind of fighting for the second wave of wrestling fans. I think Lucha isn't doing as good as maybe you would think, because like for the production values and the level of wrestling and even some of the storylines and the wrestlers I have on the show, they aren't actually haven't got that many viewers, right? It's quite, obviously it's a shame, but obviously this is still a new show on a network not many people have El Rey, right?
Yeah.
Where it gets aired. So they need to get, you know, deals done with other countries. Ideally, they would do great getting a deal done with someone here in the UK, because I imagine UK fans will eat that shit up. So, yeah, that's my answer to that question. No, I don't think they would become a rival to WWE, just because they're more of an entertainment show, and they can't really go towards that global audience, because going for that niche audience is essentially what makes Lucha Underground. You know, it's kind of along those lines. You can't really call yourselves Lucha Underground if you're going for a global audience. You know, it kind of goes with the name.
It kind of loses the Fight Club feel. Yeah, that's the one thing I love about Lucha Underground.
It's gritty and it's to the point.
It's definitely just more than anything. Like, you don't buy tickets; you just receive a text message telling you where to be at a certain time.
Yeah, and there's an allure to that, you know, which WWE can never hope to tap into. So, yeah, they should stick to that. AE Gaming brings his first question to the table, I believe. He asks, how do we think Rhino is doing in NXT? And do we think there will be a Samoa Joe versus Rhino match? On the Samoa Joe match, yes, unquestionably that will happen. I mean, technically, they had a tag team match against each other. So
I think that's going to spawn the match. I reckon we're only a couple of weeks away from a Rhino Joe match.
Yeah, you're probably going to Rhino Joe and then probably Breeze and Balor, probably soon. That's how it's going. And in terms of how Rhino is doing, I think he's doing great. I think he's doing the role that he was brought in for really well, which is enhancement talent. That's what he's there to do.
Yeah.
He's there to impart his knowledge, have great matches with the rising stars, lose to them. Essentially, that is part of his job, is to lose to them. But I think he's done really well. I think he's done great. He's one of the great things I like about Rhino is that he looks as good now as he ever has done.
Oh yeah, like he's sort of like between now and day one, like nothing really changed.
He doesn't look like he's aged a day in 20 years. It's quite remarkable in that sense. I don't know what he's eating. Obviously, he's quite a packed guy, so he's obviously eating some good stuff. But yeah, he doesn't look like he's aged, and he hasn't missed a beat. Jesus, as Rhino, and I think big props to Rhino. I think actually his professionalism has probably led to WWE keeping him close to hand rather than letting him go out back to the indies because of the work he does. I think he's left a good impression personally along those lines. So, and a lot of indie guys, I mean, some of the older indie guys, maybe not as doesn't have a great. Maybe I'm being a little bit. I'm saying in general, don't exactly. Professionalism isn't something that comes up with them too often, you know. But with Rhino, man, he's just a stand-up guy. You know, he does exactly what you ask of him to a good quality every single time you ask of him. No, I think he's doing great. Can't speak highly about the guy. But he shouldn't be any higher than he is. That's the role he's brought in for, and he's doing it well. Alex from Wrestling Boom asks us, what is our favourite year for TNA and why? His is 2008 because of the main event Mafia starting to take hold and Samoa Joe winning the World Championship. Now, just as a statement here, I haven't watched that much TNA in its entirety, right? In fact, not that long ago, and man, people might roast this for me, roughly around like 2006, 2007, I actually stopped wrestling. I kind of took a year sabbatical, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of didn't watch it that much at all along those lines. But from what I know, 2008 was a pretty damn good year for TNA. You're looking at pre-Carter era, or at very least at the beginnings of that time. I think it definitely was pre-Carter. Before many of the changes involving Hogan and Bischoff started happening. And you had the likes of AJ Styles, Samoa Joe obviously winning the belt. You had Kurt Angle all ripping it up, you know, during that time. Sting back there being their big draw, their big name. And back then they truly were, in every sense of the word, they were the alternative to WWE. And they were doing very well at doing that. So, yeah. What about you, Matt? Years in for TNA. Can you think of anything that was better than 2008?
No. I never watched. Like, I don't think I've ever really... I don't think I can ever really say I was a TNA fan. I've tried. I've watched events. I've watched shows. But I can never turn around and go, yeah, this year was their best year because this happened. I was like, oh, it was quite a good event. It was quite a good few matches. And obviously, we're talking a few years back that I would have held that belief.
That opinion, yeah.
Yeah.
Things have changed now.
I mean, we're talking six-sided ring before they went, you know, when they only had a six-sided ring.
Yeah. Before Hogan and Bischoff came in, really.
Yeah.
Changes.
But I couldn't really say anything as to who was around at that point. I've seen good matches, but I was like, I don't ever just think that I'm just shitting on TNA. I've seen good matches on them. I think I saw was it a last man standing match between Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles that was phenomenal.
Yeah, they've had some classics.
Yeah.
More often so before 2010, let's just be honest. I'll tell you one thing.
I will have to take your word for it.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I will say, though, is that, I will agree with you here, and obviously, you know, Alex from Wrestling Boom does know way more about TNA than we do. But one thing I will say when I was thinking about years in TNA, the first year that came to mind, unfortunately, was 2011. And the only reason that came up is because it wasn't a good year, is because of 2011 Victory Road. And everyone knows what happened there. Jeff Hardy, what happened, right? And unfortunately, when you look back at it now, man, was that almost like a precursor, like the opening shot, a foreboding into the sort of shit that was going to happen to TNA? You know, the Hardy stuff.
Possibly.
You could label that as maybe the very first. I mean, you could say nail in the coffin, but I mean, back then they were still doing okay. But interesting to think of it in that fashion, I think. But yeah, we'll go with your 2008 there. And I remember a few matches that were good. I just can't name them particularly offhand. I knew that the company had some momentum though, and they really were the alternative.
Well, I know that 2008 was a year that we lost a friend when it's just sort of like, I don't watch WWE anymore. It's like, what?
Yeah,
we always come around here to watch pay-per-views.
Yeah, he was.
I watch TNA
guy.
Yeah.
So there's that. Now,
and now he doesn't really watch anything. Now he doesn't even watch that. It's sort of like he'll watch pay-per-views and then fast forward every episode of Raw.
Yeah. He fast forwards through every single match and watches only the little bit. Man, to be honest, he probably gets more fun out watching Raw than we do. If you look at that,
he watches promos.
Promos, yeah. Yeah, that's all our questions for this week. If you do want to ask any questions, of course, leave them in the comment section below, or tweet us at TalkWrestlePod. Is that it?
I think that is it. That is it.
It just sounds so sexy when you say it, man.
Flow.
Nice, yeah. Anyway, why don't we kiss and make up? Yeah.
Like a creepy pubescent teenager.
Yeah, like a fucking creepoid. Moving on, NXT report card from that shameless pay-per-view plot, of course. We are going to be evaluating Carmella and Samoa Joe. And you may be saying, wow, I thought you said you won't be talking about enhancement talents. I think Samoa Joe being an enhancement talent went out the window the minute he signed a full-time WWE contract. So we will be talking about him.
Yeah, that's why you shot me down. I was like, what about Blue Pants? No.
Because she doesn't have a deal with them.
But I like Blue Pants.
Let's talk about... I tell you what, we'll talk about Blue Pants next time she shows up, all right? I promise.
Okay.
We'll talk about Blue Pants. Still about Carmella, though. Now, personally, I like Carmella. I do. Whoever booked the angle with her and Blake and Murphy to try and get the fans more to her side did a great job. The fans no longer really booing her before they were. If you remember, they were...
Yes.
And then they did that angle, and then she kind of stuck to her men, Enzo and Cass, and the fans kind of took to her a little bit of that.
Yeah, she sticks with them. Yeah! It's not the fact that she's over. It's the fact that she's now associated with people who are over.
Yeah, that's it. What about her qualities, though? Obviously, she's a good-looking girl. I don't think anyone can say that about her. She's all right. Not as gorgeous as, say, Alexa Bliss, or, like a Sasha Banks, or, Becky Lynch. But still, she's a good-looking girl. I think she's got what WWE are looking for in that department.
Yeah.
And that is important, unfortunately. She isn't that great in the ring, let's just be honest. She isn't that good.
She's all right.
She's passable at best. I haven't
Yeah.
seen her have a match that I went, all right, that's okay.
Ah, cool. That was really good. No, I mean, especially, was it this week or last week she was on?
This week she was.
This week.
Yeah.
And it was this week that I suddenly realised, I was like, I really don't want her to pretend that she's Enzo. Because she came out and she did the whole I am Carmella bit.
About her being hottest chick in the ring sort of thing.
Yeah, that one. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I find, at least she's got the guts to try and pull off those promos, because a lot of girls wouldn't, right? She's got the guts to get on the mic and try and do something with it.
Oh yeah, but I was like, you're not Enzo.
One thing I find, Matt, I don't know if you share this sort of opinion, I find her just a little bit too eccentric for my liking. She's almost like she's always moving, right? She's always kind of like over eccentric. I know that's part of her character, so I do kind of give her a pass on it, but it's like a little bit too much sometimes, like...
Excited puppy.
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah.
She needs a lot of improvement, and the question of whether or not she could work with that Enzo and Cass, I think is a redundant one, because I wouldn't ask that question. I wouldn't break them up. I think she's perfect with them, and I don't think she should be wrestling that many matches. She could do six multi-gender tag matches, sure, and she's passable in the ring, but No, to be honest, let's ask that question. Can she last without Enzo and Cass? No.
I don't believe so.
I don't believe so. Everything that she's got at the moment is because of association with them. Now, obviously, she's making the most of it, and I do applaud her attempts. And like I said, she's willing to get on a mic, you know. And I think she is at least, and like I said, she is trying to emulate Cass. She's not quite that, but she is better than a lot of the divas. Let's face it, she could cut on the mic. She's far better than a lot of divas on the main roster as well, right?
Yeah.
Even just by emulating Enzo, that's just the case. So there is a little bit of potential there. What is your grade for Carmella?
I will give her a C-.
C-. I'm going to give her a C. I just think there's a little bit to her. Maybe I look at her because I don't look at Carmella and think, okay, in 6 months' time, I want to see her showing us what Becky Lynch showed us. I don't think she's capable.
No.
But as I said, maybe she doesn't need to be as capable as that. I think she's passable in the ring, and then she's okay in the mic. At least she stands out. You give her that. You know.
Oh yeah, she does good.
Yeah.
Like I can't say. I think she adds quite a bit to the Enzo Cass formula as well.
Mm.
Like she has her part to play.
Yeah, and she does it. She does it very well. So let's talk about the Samoan submission machine, Mr. Samoa Joe and Joe. NXT suits you well, my friend. I will say that it suits you very, very well. Joe has done, as well I can say, has barely put a foot wrong since he joined the company, bar the Tyson Kidd incident. But that wasn't on camera, so in terms of what we can see on camera, he's doing well. And like I said, as far as what I can see, I mean, Bret Hart kind of pointed the finger at Joe, but I'm less inclined to do so. So maybe we can talk about that more later down the line in regards to that. But,
no, I'm less inclined to believe it.
Yeah. It ain't ballet, guys. I mean, you tweeted, the actual picture that came up, and man, that's brutal. But
yeah,
these things happen, right? And Joe is a safe guy. But anyway, so the guy got into great shape for his run at NXT. It's showing now. I can tell you what, like, he moves around really well in that ring, just as good as he ever has done. And he's one of those guys like Owens that you look at him and you think he won't be able to do that much.
Oh wait.
Yeah, and then he's fucking inseguring people.
Yeah,
standing inseguring. He is intense. He's strong. He's experienced. He's crisp. And I don't think he gets enough credit for being a very good mic worker. I think Samoa Joe is a great promo.
Oh, the one he cut following his match with Owens, I thought was great.
Yeah. And it was even like I thought the best one he did was the one he arrived in NXT, and they showed like a clip because they did it. It wasn't actually on the episode. It wasn't on that special. It was like, well, it was at the special, but it wasn't aired. You know, they showed it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it was a great promo they shared in regards to that. So he's everything NXT needs. And who knows, maybe main roster comes begging. Maybe they need Joe. Maybe Joe could do good work for them. The one thing, however, that stops him from being a grade A star is that fucking horrendous theme music. That is some of the worst theme music I've ever heard.
I don't get it.
It's atrocious. It's fucking... I can't wrap my head around
it stinks.
How bad it is.
It's just awful.
It is awful. It's horrendous.
I mean, hell, it makes a change that he doesn't have generic rock music, but...
Right, like, we've said this before. I think generic rock music would be fine over that. I think that's the...
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's worse than the Cesaro theme. And that's saying something.
Oh, I don't know.
Right? God. But, so your grade for Samoa Joe, what are you going to give him?
What can't I give him? The worst part is, Samoa Joe, oh, yeah, okay, he's an A. Like, I think the only thing holding Joe back is, it's not even really holding him back, it's just the fact that I don't like his entrance music.
Yeah, I gave him an A as well. And he would be
it's
an
the fact,
A-star.
it's simple enough, he's fucking Samoa Joe.
Yeah. And like I said, guys, I mean, he hasn't given us any reason with his in-ring work and his promo ability for us not to be... We can only go on a situation of, can we mark you down?
Oh, are we just judging him from his time in NXT?
Yeah, well, and
I'm just literally just going, he's fucking Samoa Joe.
Oh, well, I'm still moving on.
Of his entire career, of all the great matches that I've watched him in.
If you're going to go entire career, then I'd be inclined to give him an A-star. Like, he's way beyond developmental, but I'm going from what I've seen NXT, that theme music fucking sucks. So that does draw him down. But, yeah, I gave him a grade A as well. I think Joe's fantastic. Like I said, we can only mark people down if they've done something wrong. You know, if they're not good enough in a certain area of their game. Carmella, you know, she's not very good in the ring. Her promo skills, you know, while are okay, need work, so we mark her down for that. Samoa Joe, I can't look at the guy and think of something that wrong until his entrance music pops up, and that's really the only thing I can think of. So, yeah, grade A for Samoa Joe. He's doing really good work. Really good work. Let's get into the Raw review, Matt. The lowest rated Raw in almost 2 decades. Does that sound fun?
Hey.
Wow. Should be enough to scare the living shit out of WWE, hopefully. If they... I mean, it would be more scary if they had competition to capitalise on that, of course, but still. Still on the road to Battleground, this episode of Raw came from the Verizon Center in the heart of Washington, D.C. And the crowd this week were pretty fucking good for what was a pretty mediocre show. But I'll give props to DC, they weren't half bad. I tip my hat to you, DC. Well done, well done.
Splendid.
Seth Rollins opens up the show, and it's the Seth Rollins Show. Yeah, essentially it was that. If you want to see, basically, this opening segment, for all intents and purposes, is Seth Rollins' audition to become a game show host.
Yeah. It's like, hell, when I'm done with wrestling, I'm gonna take Bob Barker's job.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, he came out and said before he could do, you know, Jon Stewart's job better than him. Apparently, this is his way of trying to, you know, beat out all the game show hosts, because that's essentially what was here. He says, anyway, that the crowd doesn't have any idea what true power is, and he did what no other man could do, and he managed to beat Brock Lesnar, even though he kind of didn't, but you can see his warped logic on it. He explains that Brock isn't in the building, he's on his way to Japan, and suddenly the reason why Raw had a shocker of a rating is even firmer in our minds.
Yeah.
Rollins obviously then states that Lesnar did break 3 of Noble's ribs. Noble is around, he was involved, but you can tell he was involved to it.
He was wincing.
Yeah, he wasn't involved. I think the most he had to do was pick up a table, you know. And,
was to put on a watch.
yeah, along those lines. So Rollins demands that we all stand up to give him appreciation. I tell you what, he does deserve some appreciation, even though he's a heel. Fair play to you to come back to work after having the fucking
3 broken ribs.
Yeah, getting driven into that crowd divider. Rollins then gives his group brand new Apple Watches.
Yay!
Yeah. Basically, the word Apple was used quite a bit here, as you can imagine. So, product placement. Kane gets something extra special, though. And it says that a lot of stuff has changed over the last 20 years that Kane debuted. Everything apart from Paul Heyman staying a disgusting piece of crap. And I would say to Rollins, careful, my friend. You do not want to start a verbal war you cannot win. You cannot win a verbal war with Paul Heyman. Just can't do it. Just can't do it.
That's it. Yeah, let's start that one, shall we?
Talk about walking. You're walking into a lion's den already with Brock Lesnar. Do not try and take a war of words with Paul Heyman, my friend.
That's it. Woo. Otherwise, Heyman's going to take your tongue, and then Lesnar's going to break your back.
Yeah, he's going to make you humble, as a certain Mr. Sheik would say. It's revealed that Kane is being sent to Hawaii. The
fact that the worst part was just sort of like, bring on the hula dancers and the man playing the golf. Fuck off.
Yeah. The idea of Kane, you know, in his swim shorts, sipping pina coladas on a beach. Yeah. We're not getting Demon Kane back for a while. Let's just say that. Yeah. That ship has sailed. I'm not even angry about it anymore, to be honest. Rollins then says before Kane heads off, they'll be teaming up for a no DQ tag team match with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose for the end of the show. in a
Tag
unprecedented
team match.
blockbuster main event, he said. No, not really. Rollins says that his security team must travel in style. So he's got something for, J&J Security. And he reveals a brand new Cadillac 2015 CTS. Yeah.
It was the worst part. It's like he spent about 5 minutes straight. It's like, and then it goes 0 to 60, and it's in red, and just for you, Joey, it's in all leather interior, and it's like, it's a $50,000 car. It's like, oh, fuck off, Bob Barker.
Yeah. And what's behind door number 2?
Yeah, that's it. You already have the watch. Would you gamble it for behind the mystery door?
I was like, what? Is Raw becoming a game show now? I don't understand. How many limbs do you get broken by Brock Lesnar? Are you willing to get annihilated by Brock Lesnar for a new Cadillac? Now that's a game show I would watch, right? Are you willing to get annihilated? And the amount of minutes you can stay in there is a higher tier car that you get.
That's it.
According to Kofi Kingston, he's not getting that much of a good car, at least if that's happening. So, come on. I mean, this opening promo was. It kind of speaks for itself. It was dreadful. It was. I don't blame people for not wanting to watch the rest of the show because it was just like
I think that's probably part of the problem when suddenly they were like, "I'm out."
Yeah, I'm done. I don't want to see any of this shit. If I want to watch a game show, I'll actually watch a proper fucking game show.
Yeah.
Where, but yeah, it was not a great. It didn't have Raw roaring into the fans. It was literally like, all right, okay. This would have been best served being a middle of the show promo, if it was ever going to be done. But yeah,
No.
I tell you what should have happened, right? They should have saved this for the week after with Brock Lesnar being around, and Lesnar fucking powerbombs Mercury onto the Cadillac. That's exactly what should have happened right there. So, it was almost like, it was building up to something like that happened, and it never happened. They just got their cars, and they got their trip to Hawaii, and they went off, and I don't know, still. Because the heels always win.
End of.
Big Show versus Mike. Oh, wow. The start of this show did not exactly say, tune into the... They needed Curtis Axel out there to kind of remind everyone.
Stick around.
Yeah. Jesus. Big Show versus Mark Henry. Miz is on commentary. I can't say much before Big Show just knocks out Henry, picks up the win. Extremely quick, this match. And, by the way, don't get it twisted, I'm not exactly clamouring for more lengthy matches between Mark Henry and Big Show, but you still get my point. Ryback comes out. Miz almost ejaculates with excitement before booting Ryback in the face and then getting the hell out of Dodge. Ryback can't wait to face the Miz later, so he demands that the match happens now. So we get the Miz versus Ryback. Now you can imagine why not many people want to stick around on this show. Jesus Christ. It's all starting to formulate. The picture is the pieces of the puzzle starting to fill in, Matt. As we carry on.
And now it all works out. Okay.
Decent. Well, I'd say this match was decent enough, though. Ryback has it won. Miz runs out of the ring instead of counting to 10. And the referee, before counting to 10, just says, fuck it, he's not coming back, ring the bell. He just doesn't even count to 10. He's like,
yeah, it's like, is he coming back? Yeah, I don't think so. Okay.
I think maybe he needed to take a massive shit. And he was like, I can't be bothered. I can't wait until 10. So I'm just going to ring the bell now and run out to the back and just have the most.
Do you know what? We'll do it now.
Yeah.
It's done.
Just ding, 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 and then I can go and take the great Carly-sized poop that's been building up for... who knows? Maybe he gets a new toilet from Seth Rollins. You know? Who knows? He's being very generous. You know? So, this leads us into Alicia Fox versus Paige. Now, commentary talking about this war that's brewing between the Divas division. And all I can hope is that, eventually we might get an NXT invasion or something just to make this fucking thing interesting, because at the moment...
We can only hope.
Yeah, at the moment it's not interesting. Let's just be honest. So, the match itself is decent enough. It's alright. Nothing special. But I can hear them talking throughout the whole fucking match, if I'm honest. It was almost like there was a few moments every now and then that the crowd would die down and suddenly you could hear Paige just almost shouting out the next line. Now, I didn't have too much of a problem with it, with the cameras in her face, and you can hear her doing it, but the camera wasn't that close, and you could still hear her, mouthing off the next particular thing. So, I will say here,
Paige, you talk too much.
You talk too much, yeah. She does get the win with the reversal to a roll-up pin. Alicia has much to learn. She should have used the schoolboy roll-up pin.
Yeah.
That is the most devastating move in wrestling history, not the backwards rolling pin. That's not the most devastating.
That's the rookie one.
Yeah. Got much
damn
to
it.
learn.
Yeah.
Much to learn. Young Padawan. We'll send
Young
you to the
young
church
grasshopper.
roll-up. Yeah, young grasshopper. Was it like schoolboy on, schoolboy off, schoolboy on?
Yeah.
That's it. This leads into Cena versus Cesaro. Well, we all thought it was going to be Cena versus Owens to begin with. Is the first open challenge, not to follow a generic Cena promo, if I'm correct, which I'm okay with, funny enough. And like I said earlier on, I am glad Cena was on this show, because WWE can't blame the low ratings down to him not being there this time. You know, they can't just put it off and be, oh, Cena wasn't there, doesn't mean anything. And I know Cena is an impactful part. Like, the live events that he is the headline for does much better business than the ones he doesn't, but I just know WWE. They would use Cena as an excuse and then keep using him.
Like, obviously, he's still wanted, because look how badly it did. Now, that doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I was glad that he was on this show. And like I said, had the best match of the night, let's be honest. They do the... Kevin Owens comes out to accept the challenge. We all know it's not happening. It's Kevin Owens trolling us again. That's the way it is.
Kevin Owens being that genius heel again.
That's it. They do all the title introductions, and then Owens says, well, no, actually, I feel like I'm not going to do it. I'll just wait until Battleground, which I thought was quite a good way to do it. Cesaro comes out to answer the challenge. And now we all
know what? I was so happy when his music hit.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yeah, they fucking tore it down last time.
Yeah, they had a world-class match the last time. These two had a one-on-one match. It was fantastic. And now this match wasn't as good, let's just be honest, but it was pretty fucking good. Yeah. I think if it had a more conclusive ending, maybe. But because of the way it ended, kind of left it a little bit of a sour taste, but still.
Did you hear the whole they apparently blanked out a part because they thought Cesaro was sticking the middle fingers in Cena's face?
Because he was sticking the middle fingers.
No, he wasn't though.
It was his fourth fingers, wasn't it?
It was his ring fingers.
Yeah. And
I was like, you're clever.
I know. But it's still
I was looking at it because it kind of goes back to, like, do you remember Christopher Daniels where he taped like his two outside and his index finger? So when he put his hands up, he was putting his hands up, but he was essentially flipping off the crowd.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, one thing I would say though is that Cesaro and Cena, they've got good chemistry, man. Really good chemistry. They know.
But he can't get over. Just remember that.
Yeah, apparently he's not entertaining enough, Matt. Apparently. Yeah. Cesaro was wearing a Canada Kid sleeve for Kid. So that was quite a nice little touch there to have. It was a very good professional wrestling match. Which, oh wow, that's dirty words, really.
The what? Yeah. A wrestling match?
Wrestling match.
Wrestling!
Cesaro broke out the sharpshooter on a few occasions, as a nod to his tag team partner, who was now out for a year.
Yep.
Owens then takes Cole. Yeah, there's an odd bit here. Owens basically got pissed off with Michael Cole, takes a swipe at him, misses, and then decides, you know what, I'll just go back on commentary. I thought it was a bit random. I didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah, I didn't buy into that much. Yeah. The one thing I quite liked is I saw a meme afterwards, and it was like, it was Owens attacking Cesaro for the finish. So obviously, that was the finish. Like, it was all through disqualification. But it was just like a picture of Bret Hart at the bottom. It's like, what kind of Canadian breaks a sharpshooter?
Yeah. He is not impressed. 4 out of 10.
Yeah, 4 out of 10.
Yeah. As you're right there, Matt. He stops the match as it looks like Cesaro's about to win. And then Owens then hits Cena with the pop-up powerbomb and Cesaro as well. It gives them both.
Everyone! Power bombs for all!
Look at you, it's Oprah giving out free pop-up power. Now that's an episode of Oprah I would watch. Pop-up powers for everyone. Like I said, I don't like... I mean, I know it's part of the reason why they do it, especially with Owens being a heel. You know, he's not supposed to do things that the fans don't... that the fans like. He's supposed to fuck over the fans. It's essentially his job. But to end a match of this quality with a fuck finish, don't really like it.
I didn't mind it so much because it was the whole, if anyone's going to be if anyone's taken that title, it's going to be me, and I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as keen. I have to admit, I'm not as keen. Bray Wyatt is backstage. He's looking at a picture of Roman Reigns. He's talking cryptic stuff again.
He's talking all that crazy shit.
All that crazy shit, yeah. I would explain it all, but guys, it's fairly inconsequential. Most of it doesn't mean anything. It used to, but not anymore. And like I said, the promos are all good. You guys know my thoughts on Wyatt now. He's just the sheen has just gone off on him. I don't think he's ever going to get it back. I think that's a real shame. One of the things that's become evident to me with Wyatt over the last couple of months is that I just don't look at him in the same way that I used to.
Yeah.
And that's a big shame.
This was almost like a terrible way of using the word, but you'd almost like lust for a decent promo, wouldn't you? But now it's like, no.
Yeah, it's like
you're not allowed it.
I used to get really excited when he would pop up. Now I'm like, nah, no, I could happily skip Wyatt segments, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
Lucha Dragons and the Primetime Players versus Bo Dallas and the New Day in what would be Kofi Kingston's final Raw appearance before his untimely death.
Just the way the guy was actually quite shocked. I was like, the what? The Lucha... They're on TV!
Yeah, jeez, yeah.
Oh my god!
And Bo Dallas as well. Gee, I mean, Bo Dallas is having a good year by his standards on Raw. Jesus.
He got rock bottom by The Rock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, The Rock showed up in a live event in Boston, and that's obviously they wanted to show footage of that, and that's a good enough reason for Bo to be on a part of this show. But as you said there, Matt, it's the Lucha Dragons I'm more than happy seeing. It's almost criminal that they have not been used more than they have been. It is damn near criminal. Someone should be arrested, if I'm honest, for that, because even with JBL, I mean, he is the heel commentator. I don't know why he's doing it, but he is telling the truth. They are fun to watch, so why aren't we watching them more?
He's the heel commentator, but he's essentially got the hard-on for the Lucha Dragons. I don't get it. It's just sort of like, you're meant to hate these things because they're fun.
Yeah, you're supposed to be all about Bo Dallas and the New Day, about all these guys saying, oh, the Lucha Dragons are so fun. I don't think that JBL... It would be better if JBL was a better heel commentator, but that's just not the case, is it, really? Lucha Dragons, it's just, like I said, it's just been stupid. They have not been used. They're fun. They're fun to watch. What does Raw need to have? More fun things to watch. So, put Lucha Dragons on there. Lengthy match, and it's on the better side of okay than not okay. I thought it was alright, especially with Kalisto.
Yeah, it was solid.
Stuff. Titus comes in, wins with his finisher, which is that sort of sit down. It's not really like a powerbomb; it's more like a sit down spine bustery thing, isn't it? It's kind of
like a push off spine buster shove thing.
Yeah. So that's probably the best description you're going to find on this show, if I'm honest. But it was a fun match. I enjoyed it, and yeah, that's fine. I've got no issue. Obviously, if I had fun watching it, that's what it should be there to do.
That's it.
Dolph Ziggler and Lana take to the ring. Ziggler says it's confession time, and their relationship wasn't love at first sight. He knows that Lana was just using him to get back at Rusev. But then Lana says that Rusev was her man for a long time, and wow, this is quite a burn. For a long time, she didn't know what a real man was. That was...
Oh!
Whew, man, that must have hurt. She blames her views on America on him and says that Dolph treats her with respect. So essentially she's saying, I do love America. Rusev just told me that I don't like it. So
yeah.
There you go. Then she says, we've become more than just friends, Matt. Do you know what they are, Matt? Do you know what they are? Thunder Buddies.
Oh, yeah. The most sacred of things.
Yeah. And that's, you know what? That's quite heartwarming. Really is.
Yeah, that's beautiful to hear.
That's a big step. I'm really proud of it. I feel like I'm going to cry, man. It's really good. This is enough for Rusev to make an entrance here with his new squeeze, Summer Rae, in tow. Now, I think, funny enough, it's quite funny when you look at this in this point. He basically swapped out one blonde for another blonde. Kind of blondes, shall we say, the old Russian.
Do you know the one thing I just don't like this whole thing?
No, I'm not feeling it either. It's funny enough, right? It's not really there for Ziggler. It's not really there for Rusev. It's there for Lana. Lana's the main showpiece of this entire feud.
Yeah. But no, I just sort of meh.
Yeah. I mean, Rusev
Like,
has a few...
let's have Rusev look like the bitter, stalky, weirdo X.
Yeah, I told you, this year's going to get shit for him quick. You don't get into a 4-match rivalry with Cena and live to tell the tale in that sense, you know.
Yeah, but the thing is, when he was first injured, we were like, this is good, because then he can sort of just disappear and come back and is like, oh, puny injuries just don't faze me. Whilst I was healing, I was training, and I am better, stronger than ever, sort of thing.
I'm the
like,
super
that's what we
duper
could...
athlete and shit like this,
Yeah, like you thought I was the super athlete before. Well, I shit on it.
Yeah.
And now it's like, Lana left me.
Yeah, it's he's like, oh, he's so sad. He really cared for Lana. One of the things that Rusev says, though, is that he says he never cared about Lana, which is actually different from what Summer Rae says later on, but still. It says that she was a cold fish and she kissed like a ring post. Now, Rusev obviously speaks from experience. His relationship with the ring post was electric. It was quite inspiring. That was a relationship.
I mean, that's a slammy right there.
To be honest, when he broke up from the ring post, I was genuinely heartbroken. So, still, that moment he had with Big E as well, that was quite passionate as well. Putting him in the accolade, wow, is special. Anyway, Rusev, he's got lots of weird relationships, it seems. It looks like basically where they're going with this is that you're gonna have Rusev when he's fit and able. Again, Rusev and Summer Rae against Lana and Ziggler. And people are saying, oh, that won't happen because Lana's not cleared to compete. She could be in a match and not do that much. She can basically do what she did in this segment, which is basically, brawl
scrap.
with Summer. Yeah, scrap. Roll around the mat with Summer Rae and punch. That's all she has to do for this to work, and let the other guys do the...
Yeah, exactly. That's all she did.
Yeah, and that's all she needs to do for a match to happen. So I do see this happening. They wouldn't have put Summer Rae in there if that wasn't going to be the result. So, this particular segment, not really feeling it. Apart from the fact, you've got Summer Rae calling Lana a gold digger, and then that's where they have a fight. But that's really not really much to talk about. So,
it's like the worst part. It's like I just remember like an old Simpsons episode where it's just like, I can't remember what the game is, but it's just like girls just pulling at each other's heads, like bitch, whore. They're just sort of scrapping away.
Slut. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I remember that.
That's all I can think.
It's like one of the arcade games that like Bart is playing or something.
Yeah,
that's it. Or it's along the lines of those shows that that Roger used to watch in American Dad. It's like bitch, slut, and they're slapping each other backwards and forwards. Yeah. Still, I'm not really feeling this much, but who knows? Maybe when Rusev can get a bit more physical. With both Summer Rae and Ziggler, but then things might get a little bit more interesting. Ambrose is backstage. He's talking about taking hits and moving forward, which is something that Rocky Balboa used to say, for anyone knowing that. By the way, he's talking to the Terminator models, and WWE's gone Terminator Goo Goo Gaga crazy because Triple H love him some Arnie, so that's the way it goes. Roman Reigns comes in, asks him if he's ready for the match later tonight, but Ambrose turns it on him and says, I don't think you're ready, because Wyatt has got into Roman Reigns' head. But he does say, okay, I kind of do like it though, because, a pissed off Roman Reigns is quite fun.
Yeah, that shit's cool.
Yeah. We echo that sentiment greatly, Mr. Ambrose. Reigns says he hates everyone in WWE except for Ambrose, as their family. And I'll tell you what, man, if there's one thing I do like, and without any sort of jokes aside, I love the mini bromance between these guys.
Oh, yeah.
I do like it. I know they're setting me up because I know eventually they're going to build it up, and Ambrose is going to turn his back on Reigns, and I'll be genuinely heartbroken. It's like these Shield guys know how to make me sad, When Rollins ended the Shield with that chair shot, I was like, single tear. And
now it's over.
And now it's over, and then we're going to have this as well. Oh, well. But let's enjoy it while it's here. Neville versus Sheamus. Neville again is dealing with a issue that he's had since he got into the main roster: a lack of direction.
Yeah. What am I doing here?
Yeah. What is he doing? He's not doing anything really. Let's be honest. I can't remember the last time we saw him in a feud of note. I mean, I'm not going to call the Bo Dallas feud a feud of note. I called it a mini feud back then. That's exactly what it was. So yeah, that's pretty much the most of it for Neville. Then it's an okay match. Neville does what he can, but still, it's a Sheamus match. It suffers from the Sheamus syndrome.
That's it. And he has the Money in the Bank contract, so guess what?
Yeah.
Fella!
Or that quote, or that picture you sent me, Bella. You know. But if you've seen that picture, guys, you know what I'm talking about. That's the most scariest thing I've seen, and most funniest things I've ever seen, to be honest.
I'm going to use this Money in the Bank contract to cash in on the Divas title. You didn't realise you have to be a diva. Bella!
Oh, good stuff. But Neville looks like he's got the match won, but Sheamus kicks the top rope and then hits the bro kick. He gets the win. And Neville loses this match and he loses a beast in the East. So, not having a great week for Neville, but still, I don't think that they're by all means like burying the guy, but I just don't think they know what to do with him. So they do have some sort of plan for Sheamus, considering he's Money in the Bank winner. So they just thought, oh, okay, we'll just make him win this match. That's the way it went.
Who's going to win? It did dog shit.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Or they did the South Park thing of cutting the head off a chicken and see where he lands on his big disc. Jack Swagger versus King Barrett. The first thing I saw when I saw Jack Swagger was, well done, mate. You're still employed. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. It's like, holy shit, Swagger.
Yeah. I can't remember the last time we saw Jack Swagger. Jesus Christ. He has been around for a while, and to be honest, he desperately misses Zeb Coulter. Without Zeb Coulter, he's absolutely...
He has no direction at all.
Yeah, that's it. Barrett wants to make a royal decree, because he's an idiot. All opponents will have to bow down to him. Poor Barrett. He's yet to admit that he doesn't have any fucking power with this fucking King of the Ring stuff, and this is probably the worst thing to happen in him since Big Show injuring him. Let's just be honest, right? He was going to win the championship before Big Show injured him, and look, King of the Ring, probably not doing that much better for the guy.
No.
So, yeah, Barrett gets the win here. I mean, obviously that's the only reason they use Swagger here, just to kind of job out. And I tell you what, this particular, like, the crowd here in this match were absolutely dead. I don't know if you noticed it. The crowd were pretty good throughout the majority of the show. Here they were dead. But let me explain, right? I don't blame them. Swagger hasn't been on Raw in God knows how long. Barrett is getting beat all the time, right?
Yeah, Barrett's getting stale. Yeah.
And this match means absolutely nothing. How is it supposed to be interesting enough to garner any sort of interest? And the answer to that is, it isn't interesting enough to garner interest. That's why the fans didn't chant for it.
Yeah.
So, that's the bottom line of it. It's not great for Swagger and Barrett, but it's the people booking them in that situation that are to blame, ultimately. Because Barrett is better than this. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, easily.
Reigns and Ambrose versus Rollins and Kane.
A match that I will admit I fast-forwarded through, because guess what? Before this even started, is this an ODQ match? Oh, and they've just made friends with J&J and Kane again.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess it's going to be Reigns and Ambrose fighting off everyone else.
And guess what, Matt? You win the award for knowing
hang
exactly
on a second. Wyatt gets involved as well.
Oh, wow.
And then I literally just put it on like ×6, fast forward, went, yep, end of Raw. Cool.
Yeah, done. There you go, that's it. You pretty much explained everything that happened here, but to be honest, as I said, it's not that hard to... Sorry, Matt, I'm going to play down your prediction skills, but it isn't that hard to predict, is it really? Like,
no.
We all knew it was going to happen that way. I'll tell you what, though, the match itself, like, it isn't much of a match before it turns into an all-out brawl, and Rollins gets the victory with a choke, Kane uses the choke slam and on Ambrose, and then Rollins uses the pedigree. But there's a brawl at the end of this match, right? That happens between all the guys. You've got Wyatt involved. You've got the Authority guys involved. You've got Reigns and Ambrose involved. This went way too long, guys. It got to a point I was like, okay, Get to your point. Make an exclamation point so you can stand on the ropes and put your title in the air and celebrate, or Roman Reigns comes to the top or whatever. Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? Nah.
I was just waiting for it to happen. I was like, okay, come on, let's get to it, snappy, or show me something fantastic that I'll have to rave about at the end of the show. The end of the show took too long. It was like about a 10-minute beat down, and I was waiting for the show to end. It wasn't that great. But yeah, that's the end of the show, apart from the fact that Wyatt ends the show standing until he hits Reigns, with the Sister Abigail, and he laughs, and that's how the show ends. So now, that's the end of the show. You may be wondering still, wow, I mean, the show wasn't that good this week, but how could it be so poorly received? Well, we kind of spoke about it earlier. No Brock Lesnar, and a constant stream of Raws like this, which are painfully mediocre.
Yeah.
That might have one or two shining gems in the middle. Majority, though, is just quite boring. It's just not really worth watching. And I do believe as well that whenever you're going to have any of these problems with ratings, that 3-hour format will be at least partly to blame anytime this conversation comes up. 3-hour Raw, I do believe, will sap the energy out of this show. It's going to harm it in the long run. And we're getting to that point now where the quality of the show is damaged, but the viewership is getting damaged as well. So hopefully they can make a change or along those lines. I mean, that 3-hour Raw ain't changing, but hopefully they can fill those 3 hours a little bit more than replays. I mean, that wasn't as bad this week, but you know what I'm getting at there. So,
yeah.
What's your overthought of Raw? Should people watch it? Should they skip it? What do you think?
For the sake of one match, nah.
Nah, I'd skip it this week, guys. Skip this week's Raw. You don't miss that much. Apart from Seth Rollins having a audition at being I'm going to make that the intro to the show now, Matt. That's just too good.
It's going to have to be.
It's too good.
I'd be upset if I listen back next week and this is not the case.
Yeah. Well, I'm not making a new entrance now, of course, you know, just to spare your graces.
That right there, that's episode 100 shit.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's going to drop the fucking bomb when we get up to episode 100, man. So yeah, that's the show, guys. That's the Raw review. We spoke about Tough Enough in great length. We hope you guys did enjoy the show. If you did, then you can leave a like, you can subscribe and be one of our over 300 subscribers. Guys, let's hit 400 before the end of the year. I think we can do it. We've already made a really great start past 300. If you want to tweet us, Matt, what is the Twitter handle?
The Twitter handle? You mean @TalkWrestlePod?
I do mean @TalkWrestlePod.
Yes.
It's just not, like I said, it wasn't the same when I said it last week.
Nah. I will admit, I listened back and I was sort of like, missing something.
Oh, fuck you, man. No, I thought I did well. Fuck you, man. And with that, yeah, we leave the show on that note. We hope you guys do have a great week. Leave us any questions, as I said there before. And apart from that, keep sending in your suggestions, any private messages you want to send to us in regards to things you might want us to do for the 100th episode. We are looming. It's episode 82. We're very excited. We hope you guys have a great week. And we'll catch you all next time.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.